the mountain means to me. Well, I can tell you it's very meaningful to be here in this room with you all. Thank you for welcoming me. Hi everyone. How's it going? My name is Kelsey Cascadia Rose Juliana. I was actually born in Fall Creek, but I grew up in Eugene. I went to the village school, and then I went to South Eugene High School. I currently attend University of Oregon. Stumbled on the name there. What's it called? Go Ducks! Sorry, any Beavers fans in the room. And I just want to say, throughout this slideshow, you will see almost every single photo is of Mount Pisgah and Buford Park, except for this one. Just wanted to say that. This is of Mount Rainier, but you'll see all the other ones are, of course, of our beautiful park. So tonight we're going to be talking about what the mountain means to myself, but this is, of course, an invitation. What does this mean to you all? And as an aspiring teacher, I do love silliness, joking, connection, and games. So we're going to play a game. It's called the acronym game. And you're just going to have to go along for the ride and find out what N means. So the first one of what this mountain means to me is memories. Growing up in this beautiful town of Eugene, I'm not sure if most of you are from here or if any of you are from here, but you grow up with this intrinsic appreciation, value, admiration for the beauty that surrounds this beautiful city and this community. From the coastline to the beautiful Cascade Mountains and just on the other side to the desert ecosystems that this beautiful state has to offer, I have so many memories of being in nature, and so many of those are rooted at Buford Park in Mount Pisgah. This is my 5th grade birthday. My brother, Tibin, can you raise your hand? He's been serving you all. There he is in the back. So we are 3 years and 3 days apart. I'm a Pisces, so he's an Aries. Yes, growing up was an adventure in itself. And this was our shared birthday. I was turning 5, he was turning 3, 2? Math. So these are all pictures of the beautiful park, the various dogs that have been in my life, my mom. This picture that you see on the left is the day I actually attended school in North Carolina. The Appalachian Mountain Range, speaking of mountains, really attracted me. So I went to Appalachian region. And this picture in the far left is the day after I returned home after being gone for my first term in college. And the first day we went to the park. My first day back. I said I wanted to be home. So we went to the park. Now, and just touching on that, of course, this is an invitation. And so you're seeing pictures of my life, but I want you to feel free to close your eyes and just picture, what are my memories as we go along this acronym journey. The second is opportunities. I've celebrated my birthdays at Mount Pisgah and Buford Park. I've gone there for countless recreational opportunities, but I've also had real legitimate life opportunities, career aspirations, deepening my educational experiences. Here, I'm nature guided with the Arboretum in the far left. We were looking at the banana slug. This is the, excuse my dorky dork language, but I did feel a little dorky dork chasing around a tortoise for 4 hours. But this is at one of the Pisgah events, Buford Park events. In the far right, man, this is going to be challenging. In this corner, you see lesson planning. I was developing a curriculum talking about leaf stems and fall ecology, and then practicing that with a group of young students in the park. So this place has provided real opportunities for me to deepen my experiences and to broaden my vision for myself, for my life. Who do I want to become? What do I love to do? How can I contribute to the world? Those questions and those answers have been rooted in this incredible natural place that we are all here celebrating. But broadening the park and broadening out of our community, the very things that we try to foster at Buford Park are universal. So the needs, the dependency that we have on our healthy natural ecosystems are shared needs for protected lands, clean air and clean water, and safe, healthy communities. So to backtrack through these slides, in my introduction, we talked about the Great March for Climate Action, which I spent 4 months right after I graduated high school embarking on. And these are some of the photos. This is when I landed in Nebraska. This is 5-year-old Cora May, and we were talking about the need to protect our land that her family, the Thompsons, have lived on for years and generations, and protecting our lands, protecting our clean air, clean water. These are in Indiana and Pennsylvania, and again in Pennsylvania, and protecting these natural resources. There is no one on this earth that can survive without these protected natural resources. And protecting our local ecosystems, entrusting these local resources that we will restore, conserve, protect, and dedicate, that's a great way to start this universal connection. Moving on, N, nurture. We saw some nurturing that Chris mentioned, the need to nurture and the beauty in nurturing. So this is me and my brother, Tim, and I can see my brother laughing in the background. Oh yes, there's a couple more coming for you, brother. Like I said, being in nature has always been so important to my upbringing, to my sense of identity. So Kelsey means harbor by the sea. My name was decided when my parents were hiking in a forested place, Kelsey Ridge, and it also is Kelsey Creek that flows in the valley of Kelsey Ridge and Bunchgrass Ridge. And my first middle name is Cascadia, of course, the beautiful bioregion where we live, Cascadia bioregion. So nurturing nature nourishes us, right? That's one of the parks, one of Friends of Beaufort Park's main ideas. Nurture the nature that nourishes you. Nurture the nature that nourishes you. Amazingly enough, the sequence of photos you're gonna see was taken just because, and they happen to match so beautifully. But you can see my family with my old dog Shada, hiking in the Oak Savannah. And then this is just, actually, oh my gosh, I'm realizing this in the moment. This is live time, folks. This photo was taken the very same day you saw that amazing photo of the father with his child on his back. So we actually crossed paths and my mom took a photo of them. But this was on the same hike. Pretty cool. Yeah, I haven't grown up much. And not a lot has changed. Nurture the nature that nourishes you. If you love nature, you will find beauty everywhere. We are experiencing pretty tumultuous times in our local, national, global community. We are on the precipice of a lot of questions about social, environmental, climate injustices. We can work on ourselves by experiencing and working in and for these natural places. So much development has been done. As a teacher, aspiring teacher I should say, I'm deeply passionate and interested in the way that childhood development works. And no matter if you're a nature geek or not, studies show experiencing nature, learning about nature. I just recently heard a podcast and they were saying even smelling pine, looking at a tree outside of your concrete-based infrastructure has a positive effect, not only on your sense of self and your sense of longevity, of wellness, but studies show that we are nicer to our neighbors. There are less fights, there are less arguments, there's less rage, there's less hate, there's less divisiveness. These are things that I feel, that I experience, and I know are probably shared in this room. And next we have trust. So for any of you who were here last year, any hands? I mean, I recognize a lot of faces. Last year we had the privilege of hearing from Professor Mary Christina Wood, or beloved to the community, Mims. Mary Wood is a law professor at the University of Oregon. She wrote the book Nature's Trust. Now Mims, or Mary, came up with this incredible principle called the atmospheric trust litigation theory. And if we break that down, atmosphere, trust, what are we talking about here? We're talking about a fundamental, ancient doctrine dating back to ancient Roman times that governments have developed and utilized since that ancient beginning all over the world to entrust natural resources for the benefit of all people, current and future generations. And ancient Roman government, Justinian times, came up with this theory, the public trust doctrine, because they realized that there are some things in this world that are so important to protecting and ensuring for all life that we need to maintain those natural resources: air, land, water, wildlife, our atmosphere, for the benefit of all people, for the insurance of survival. So this public trust doctrine is this incredible theory developed from the University of Oregon, from a member of our community, from the person who spoke here at this spot last year. And an organization, a local organization, Our Children's Trust, language, took that theory and they said, we need to act on it. We need to find a way to practice this legal theory in litigation. We need to find a way to protect these resources, including our atmosphere, the shared resource to which affects all ecosystems, all resources below it. And so this organization, Our Children's Trust, was developed in 2010 right here in this community. I had learned about this organization and joined on just a year later, and was just one of countless young people who filed cases in our home state. There were cases filed in every state in the US, holding our local governments accountable for reducing carbon emissions, for ensuring climate stability, and for working on carbon sequestration initiatives. So trust is a fundamental principle. And what you have happening in Buford Park is realizing the vision of trust. We have a legacy in this park of protecting this place, restoring this place for the benefit of future generations. And we have advocacy. What a buzzword, let me tell you. Advocacy. Friends of Buford Park advocates for nature and for the connectivity that nature supplies. They foster healthy places, healthy spaces. And what I learned through my time, and again, these are photos of the top photo, a group of young students, I believe they were in first grade, and a parent chaperone. We found a deer up in the meadow, and so we were looking at the deer. And then below, the photo of me with the walking stick, we were looking at all the different shades of green. And you can see the kids were like, whoa, there's so much green. Being grounded in nature, just makes sense. We share nature, we learn to care about nature. Protect and advocate nature, we protect and advocate for ourselves. We care for ourselves. This is fundamental towards justice work. If we're grounded in our communities, social and environmental, we learn to care about those communities. If we care about those communities, we will protect, we will advocate for those communities. We are in fact advocating for ourselves, but also for each other, and with that, a natural intergenerational aspect applies. Because not only are we caring about our neighbor and ourselves, but all of a sudden, what about my children? What about my grandchildren? How can the work that I do now help advocate for them? Resiliency. another part of the language that Friends of Beaufort Park talks about. Nature takes care of us, but we need to take care of nature. You can't have it one way. Myself with my dog Shada in Kelsey Creek. And please don't cut the trees. There are homes. We were dressing up as treevals. I like to be in trees, whether amongst or literally in them, as I could fit as a 2-year-old. And I understand that other species do too. Intergenerational. So the public trust doctrine is an ancient piece of intergenerational justice law. And Friends of Beaufort Park understands the concept of intergenerational, not only in the varying generations and diversity of communities that the park opens its doors, opens its leaves to, but also in the necessity of protecting these natural habitats and these native species for the benefit of future generations. Again, Timon, hi, hey, you're in, yeah, my brother. And we have, I believe this was a young Girl Scout troop, the troop 2047. So the last N, I bet you didn't know that mountain has 2 N's. I'm really making you think tonight. The last acronym letter, I couldn't really decide which one was more fitting, so I said, let's throw them in there and just, reach out to dictionary.com. N stands for necessary, but it also stands for next generation. And I don't even know if there really is a difference. In this picture, you have, this was taken just a couple weeks ago, October 29th, and it is the Youth Gov community and some of our community members. I know Serena's in this picture. I lost her. You're somewhere in here. And we have people sitting on the steps of the courthouse right downtown, and they're holding up signs. And on these signs, we have the amount of carbon dioxide in parts per million ppm that existed in our atmosphere in any year dating back to the 1940s. Because as we know, and what we're trying to bring forward in our trial, is that the government has known about this issue of climate crisis, climate destabilization since the 1930s. We also know that we need our atmosphere to stay at 350 parts per million if we are to ensure climate stability, and we are currently at 411. So we have on this slide, or on these courthouse steps, images of all the years that we have been negligent on acting on climate. Acting on climate doesn't just mean lowering our emissions, because we clearly already have too much. A fundamental piece to my lawsuit and to climate initiatives in general is this idea of carbon sequestration, drawing in the carbon that does already exist. This is a fundamental part of any climate stability work, and it is a key part of my climate lawsuit, and one of the things that I hope to win when we win our case. And the climate recovery plan is very similar to the habitat management plan that Chris mentioned. And the work that Mount Pisgah does is example, or Friends of Beaufort Park and Pisgah does, is exemplary of the work that we need to be done all over. Oregon is a gem in that we have some of the remaining old growth forests in this nation. And we fought for that. We fought for those essential ecosystems that sequester massive amounts of carbon, that benefit our health, that help restore our climate. This is Levi Dryheim. He is 8 years old. He lives in Florida, and his home will disappear in 10 years' time. Now, when we filed this case 3 years ago, that was still a question. It was still a hope that that wasn't his reality, and now we know that that is the reality he faces. We need to work on climate now. And he says, I work hard to protect the environment and animals near my home. I want my government to work hard to protect my future and the future of the animals and ecosystems in our country. Yes, we are waiting for our trial. And yes, in 3 years, a lot can change. But we know that in community, we can still do work. We can still work on climate recovery. we can still work on carbon sequestration. We can still work on fostering healthy, natural, and social communities and ecosystems. We need to give science its day in court. No one says it better than the youth. This is about the next generation. Thank you for nurturing the mountain that we all adore, that is meaningful to me, that is meaningful to you, and that is essential for these next generations. Thank you for supporting Friends of Beaufort Park and Mount Pisgah. And I look forward to seeing you